So this presentation is called The Weight of Success and putting health management above weight management. Right. So I am Matt Ellgen. I am a licensed educator with the Minnesota Board of Education. I am a Mayo Clinic certified health and wellness coach. I am a weight loss management specialist, a certified personal trainer, and my bachelor's came from MNSU. I've also been doing work with disabilities for 20 years now, most of them mental disabilities. For the last 6 years, it's been here working with AME, which would be working with Prader Willi Syndrome, rare diseases. So we're going to start off with the Prader Willi Syndrome Association and what they had to say about health and exercise. And exercise is an essential part of the lifestyle for all individuals with PWS, Prader Willi Syndrome, and the health benefits of exercise must continue to be emphasized. So before we get into any more of that, I am going to ask all of you to share a little bit about what you think health is. So maybe throw out 1 or 2 words that you think health is, as far as like maybe a definition might be involved. There's no wrong answers because it is to you what health means. And I'm watching the chat log here as well. So you can either answer through video chat or you can answer through the chat log as well. I'll give you a minute to think about that there, but I'm looking for 1 or 2 words that you can use to describe what health means.
Physical and mental well-being.
Yes, very good. Physical, mental well-being, absolutely. All right. Anyone else? Okay, well, that is definitely a good start, and we're going to continue on from there. So physical and mental well-being is definitely part of good health. When we're looking at that top part, exercise exemplifies part of the body, and that is part of the health. And that's what they're talking about with the PWS association there. So we'll look at the definition here, and this is first health. So as a definition, it describes it as sound body, mind, or spirit. So those 2 things definitely fit into there because it is physical well-being, mental well-being, and then there's another aspect, just spiritual well-being. The other one that was highlighted was the exercise. So that was one part of the 3 that says more or less activity to improve health. So that's that body part of that. But when we're looking at these 2 definitions, the word weight, you don't see very often. You don't see it as a descripting factor of health specifically. So what we're going to be looking at today is health management as opposed to weight management within group home settings. So here is weight management. In order to do weight management, it doesn't take much equipment to do. So in our case, we have our clients weigh in on a scale, and that's pretty much all you need to do. You get a number, it's pretty quick. It doesn't cost hardly anything, so there's low cost, low time commitment. It doesn't take very long to do that. It can give us a rough idea of health risks in average adults. And I say average adults, there is a lot of testing and things that we need to do, data collection. Obviously for Prader Willi Syndrome, we don't have as much information as we do in other fields. So there is a little bit of an angle that way. And between height and weight, you can calculate your BMI. That's your body mass index. We will get into BMI here shortly. There is an article as well that I'm going to mention. My mentor, Jamie, friend from Mayo Clinic, had wrote this article called "Don't Let the Scale Weigh You Down." And if you get a chance to read that one as well, do so. It is an interesting read. So this is the BMI, or the body mass index. So originally it was created by a person born in the 1700s by a Belgian astronomer, Adolf Quetelet, and you can see there, and then called BMI much later on. It was dropped and then picked up back later on but science changes over a long period of time. And again, this is from an astronomer that was born in the 1700s. Science, medicine, it's all evolved since then. And seeing the BMI charts and how heavily it is used today, I would like to see it used a little bit less. So I'm going to make a little bit of an argument for that through this presentation. If you were to calculate your BMI, there's two ways to do that. Those are those two equations. I won't make you type those in, but if you were curious about it, that's imperial and metric units. BMI does not take into consideration loose skin or muscle mass. So if you were to do height and your weight, like let's say for a client, and they were to have loose skin, your calculation would already be off because the loose skin is not part of that consideration. As a matter of fact, in this report, clients, generally speaking, will lose between 10 and 15 pounds of loose skin per surgery that is done to remove the loose skin. So if you were to make a calculation of what is your height, what is your weight, and then have loose skin, you might have a calorie balance based off of the loose skin as part of it, but that would throw off how much the internal body would actually need caloric wise. So Mayo Clinic says that stepping on the scale tells you your total weight, including your bone, muscle, and fluid, but it doesn't tell you how much fat you're actually carrying. And I'm going to also say that it's all for our clients, loose skin that they're carrying as well. Here's another example, and this is my own story here. I'm roughly about 5'6". I weigh about, somewhere up to 200 pounds. I weightlift on a regular basis. When I went to the doctor not too long ago, I was morbidly obese. I didn't feel that was fair because muscle mass does weigh more than fat does. But according to this body mass index, me being morbidly obese as I am, my calorie intake needed to drop considerably, and I was asked to get a personal trainer. I am a personal trainer. I did take a little offense to that, but I'm willing to hear people out. On the flip side of that, when I was sick and had nearly died from a gallbladder surgery and lost a lot of weight during that physical, when I had weighed in from height and my weight, I was considered to be within optimal range and to continue doing what I was doing. Needless to say, it was a little flip-flopped in terms of my overall health. Right now, I feel like I'm healthy, and previously I nearly died. But from the medical standpoint, I was healthy then, but I am not now. So there's a little bit of a contrast there. So we're going to be looking at those two sections. We got health management, we have weight management. So health management is about asking questions about the clients. So if you saw my previous presentation about inclusion and person-centered theory, then we were asking clients, how was your day? What can we do for you? Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself going? Those types of questions. So we need to ask the right questions about health management, because it's not just about weight. It is a part of it, for the physical body, but it's not everything about it. Spiritual health is another part of that. Is there anything that we can do to help you meet those needs? Those questions need to be asked. That's health management. And what is the quality of life for the clients? So if you're physically fit, that's perfectly fine, but are you being able to engage with other clients? Are you being able to engage in the life that you want to have? Again, that's health management. And is the client's health at a point where inclusion can occur? So as we're looking at the physical body, are they healthy enough to do inclusion aspects, such as like being able to go to work, those types of scenarios? And then how can we facilitate a healthy lifestyle and not just one that hits our weight goals? So what is happening in weight management? So starting at the top, and you're looking at this block called the lower calories. So you've met the doctor. The first thing you do is you weigh in. That's your height, your weight. You get the BMI. The doctor will typically say something for your client along the lines of, you need to lower your calories because, again, the loose skin had been taken consideration. And remember that our clients have come from, for a lot of them, a point where they were 600 pounds, 500, 400, whatever the case may be. They do have loose skin, and usually it's only maybe one surgery that's covered, something along those lines. So that loose skin really does throw it off balance. So when we do get told that lower calories is the answer to this, uh, we're moving down to the next block. Then it says decrease muscle, decrease weight. Muscles need calories in order to support themselves. Without those calories, muscles will decrease. And along with that, because muscle weighs as much as it does, your weight will decrease. Now, fat will go along with that, but you're going to be losing some of both. So what's going to be happening next? So as you get into increased calories, what's between there is your clients may be at a higher fall risk because their muscle is now decreased, maybe having trouble getting in and out of bed, maybe getting in and out of a vehicle. So at this point, you're seeing a new problem. And at that point, you're going to be seeing now a physical therapist. The physical therapist says, we need to increase muscle mass, right? We need to increase exercise. We need to increase muscular endurance. That means increasing your calories to do that. So you increase your calories, you increase your weight, you increase your muscle. That's that third block there. And when you do that, when you increase your muscle mass, you weigh more. Now, the next time you have a physical, after you've increased your muscle mass, you then weigh too much. You are now obese again on the BMI chart. So you have to lower your calories. It's very circular thinking. So as you lower your calories, you decrease your muscles. As you increase your calories to gain muscle, you then have to lower your calories again because of the BMI chart. So that's why I'm making this argument that health management should be put over weight management, because it's not always about weight. It's about their body partly. It's about their mental health. It's about their spiritual health. So you need to look at the person as a whole. Okay. So in order to do that, I've kind of rearranged it into what I call the 4 phases of health management. So this gives you a kind of a direction of how you might want to go about it in case you want to look at the big picture as far as clients are concerned. So it starts off with the assessment phase, goes into a goal phase, an action phase, and then a reward phase. I'm going to be walking you through all these 4 steps here in just a moment. So phase number 1, this is our assessment phase. And assessment phase does start with the physician. So yes, you will be getting into the BMI chart. Yes, it is information that can help you. Take it with a grain of salt, but it does, provide you with a direction. All right. And then again, this is a rough guideline, so that's talking about the BMI chart again. Afterwards, after you've met with the physician, now you can meet with different people. You can meet with then the nutritionist, the health and wellness coach, the weight loss management specialist, the certified personal trainer if you want to do so. But it does start with the physician, and that does need to happen first. So what I wrote there is making sure you meet the right people at the right time. You don't want to visit with somebody like me, a health and wellness coach, before visiting the physician. Just make sure you're talking to the right people at the right time. Also, be skeptical of people giving advice outside of their profession. So an example of this, I had a client that visited a chiropractor that gave a lot of nutrition advice. That's out of their scope of practice. That is left to the registered licensed dietitian nutritionist. Same thing goes for a certified personal trainer. It is illegal for a certified personal trainer to be giving you or a client a meal plan. They can talk about RDAs, which is recommended daily allowance, but they can't give you a specific what do I eat when. That would not be part of it. Same thing with a health and wellness coach. We can give RDAs, but we're not able to give you very specifically food advice. That's the job of the nutritionist and the dietitian. So you know more than you think you do. So trust yourself. You're with the clients all the time. So no one knows your client or family member better than you do outside of themselves. You're just with them all the time. So when you go see the doctor and they spend sometimes 15 minutes with your client, remember that for the last 364 days out of the year, you were the one that was with them. So don't be afraid to speak up, on their behalf, because you do see everything that's happening. And a lot of times they can't speak for themselves. So, be an advocate for them. Also, involve them. So remember, again, person-centered theory from before, they are their own expert. They might have trouble communicating to you that sometimes, but it is part of what we do as advocates, to not only talk with them and for them, but involve them with what we're doing, because it is their life. Involve others. I don't have all the answers. I'm pretty sure if I ask my bosses, they're probably going to agree that they don't have all the answers either. So bounce ideas off of each other, and bounce ideas off of other people that you work with, because it's true. Not one person is going to have all the other answers. And involve family. So this is more on the boss's end, but it doesn't mean that you can't be involved too. So the plan needs to involve them as well. So everybody needs to be in this big picture. It's kind of like leaving a piece of the puzzle out of the puzzle and then wondering why it doesn't look complete. Everybody needs to be involved. So what indicators are we looking for in terms of health in general, and not just weight management? Some of these will be taken at the doctor's office. Other ones I will list here, and some of them are specific to Prader Willi syndrome as well. I'm just going to make a quick list here. So one of those is going to be blood pressure. And you see some of this also in your vitals if you take those at your group home. So blood pressure, cholesterol, heart rate, blood sugar, goes along with diabetes. Bone density levels, that's a big one. We're going to be talking about that in osteoporosis here. Hormonal balance, now we can't do that testing here, but it is something that may be taken into consideration when you have like a physical annual type thing. Metabolic rate. Now, more specifically, people with Prader Willi syndrome have a lower resting metabolic rate. Now, if you were to have a person that was obese but not with Prader Willi syndrome, and a person that was obese with Prader Willi syndrome, even though they would weigh the same amount, height and weight rise, the person with PWS would have a lower resting metabolic rate. So a lot of this has to do with keeping the metabolism rate up, and that has to do partially with muscle mass, but there are other factors to take into consideration. So let's look at osteoporosis itself, and that is going back into bone density. So typically for PWS, they suffer from an imbalance in hormones, which can translate into decreased bone density levels. And it is common for PWS to take growth hormone to combat this. And I'm just going over this really quickly because in case we have, say, like new staff, it is important to take this under consideration. This is kind of a big deal for us in this rare disease, is that bone density levels are a problem. You may have seen clients that have had trouble with breaking bones, or you see the other side effect, which is scoliosis. If you're looking at infancy, you'll see what's called ragdoll syndrome. And that's not directly osteoporosis, that's more muscle density, where they're not able to keep themselves upright. But all of that translates into then scoliosis later on, and not being able to have that structure to keep them upright. So what can we do about that? Well, weight-bearing exercises help build and maintain bone density, and we calculate that in T-scores. I'll translate that in a second here. Weight-bearing exercises increase strength and muscle mass, and that reduces fall risk. And it increases, when we talked about from before, basal metabolic rate and resting metabolic rate as well. So that's like how many calories you would need in order to do your everyday functions, just walking around, just breathing, those kinds of things. How many calories you would burn off without doing anything else. So in terms of osteoporosis, clients will take calcium D3 to supplement bone density, but that by itself is just not enough. We have to do more for that. If you were to get a T-score from a DEXA scan, a normal value would be somewhere be minus 1.0, and then osteoporosis would be negative 2.5, if people were curious about that. So now we're going to get into goals. So goal creation, how do we start? First, by assembling the team. Who is going to be the doctor? Who is going to be exercising with the client? Who is responsible for transportation and programming? At the time that I wrote this back in, I think it was 19, we were going back and forth between the gym. Things have changed now. Now, during the times of COVID, a lot of at-home workouts have been taking place, and new programming has been kind of being made to try to accommodate for that. So we need to assemble our team. Who's going to take the lead in this department? Who's going to take the lead in that? Do we have any expertise that is working here that we can draw upon to help make this a better experience for the client during the time of COVID? And just remember that what you think a client should have as a goal might not be what they think they should have as a goal. So what you envision might not be what they envision. So remember to involve them in that. It's very important. We talked about buy-in last time. That's what we're talking about here. Explore your resources available. What do you have for you? Is that do you have enough equipment that's going to be located in the gym you're making? Do you need to reach out to some of the other houses and get ideas about, how is this going to work? And then again, resources can be people too. Is there a certain staff that you're working with that might have ideas about how is this going to proceed in terms of the client's overall health? And what is the reward? We'll get into the reward phase, but there does need to be an incentive to the goal creation so that the clients will have that buy-in. So we create a SMART goal. SMART goal is the goal creation there, and it's based off of programming with clients and their health status as well. So what is a SMART goal? And you'll probably hear this again through training either at AME or outside of it, but SMART goals are used pretty regularly now to try to make goals that would be relevant to people. They are specific to people, they are measurable, they are attainable, they are realistic, and they are timely goals. So that first one being specific. Specific should be about what you want and the goal you are trying to achieve. But again, very specific. They are measurable. So measurements indicate progress over time. They will tell you where you have been and where you are going. And we're looking for numerical values as well. We're not just looking for generalized descriptions. We're looking for actual numbers that we can rely on there. They are attainable. So small goals put large goals within reach. So if you're having trouble hitting a certain goal, then change the small goal, leave the larger one, and just change that small part of it to try to get to that larger one. Understanding barriers make life relevant goals. So if you're having trouble with something that is getting in the way of your goal, make sure to add that in. Make sure that it is part of that goal, that you're not just just hitting that barrier and then constantly hitting failure and then not getting those little goals being met. So factor those barriers in, whatever those may be. So you're making it realistic and relevant to what you're trying to do or what the client is trying to do. And timely. Make sure that you have a very clear start and end time. So it starts on this date specifically with a number, and it ends specifically on this date with a number. So not the day before, not the day after. It is start, it is end. So it is very clear that way. All right, so we're going to get into phase 3 here. So this is action, maintenance, and experimentation. And let me know if I'm talking too fast. I do have a tendency to do so, mostly because I get really excited about all this stuff. So if you want me to slow down, go ahead, tell me to slow down. You can put it in the chat log. Austin here is manning that right now. So, just give me a cue and I'll do that. So first part of action and maintenance. So this is the actual doing it part. So this is the clients doing the at-home workout. This is the extra workouts, whatever the case may be, whatever your SMART goal is. If this is fitness related, try music. It's just something small that you can do to help keep motivation. I did a study on it previously in college and did see the motivational increase from that data. It's just one little trick, and maybe it'll help you out. Include the client. I don't know if I can say that enough, but motivation is intrinsic. It comes from people inside of people. It doesn't come from a person saying, do this, do that, go really fast. Motivation comes from inside. We kind of have a better understanding of that in our time frame now, but that's what health and wellness coaches do as well. We try to find ways that people motivate themselves, and not so much people saying, you can do it, you can do it. Well, yes, that's true, and that can be helpful, but really you should find things that clients can identify with and have their own intrinsic motivational factors. So, for an example, find exercises that they enjoy. One client enjoys dancing. So, can you imagine what one of our clients is doing as far as their exercise? They're dancing. There wasn't very hard. So it kind of takes it out of your hands and puts it in theirs as well. Yes, I do have some things that are a little bit more challenging, but this particular client is currently dancing. I have one client doing Zumba. I have one client doing boxing. I have one client doing step-ups. I have one client doing elliptical, treadmill, resistance band. I mean, it's all over the place. It's not, just treadmill. It's not just elliptical. It's in their hands. It's what they enjoy. Basketball is another one. Bike riding is another one. So think outside of the box. There's so many things you could be doing right now. And let them kind of direct that. Let them have that opportunity to say, hey, can we try this? Can we try that? And honestly, what's the worst thing that can happen? It doesn't work. You can go back to the old way of doing it. That's perfectly fine. And that's what it's about. It's about trying things, seeing if it works. If it doesn't work, replacing them, try something else. Maybe that'll work. And then continuing on from there. Eventually, one of them will stick. And then continue on that way. Another way to increase motivation during the action and maintenance phase is to work out with them. So if you show that something is important to you, it may be also become important to them. Say it, show it, try it. So if a client says, I want to try this, they say it, they might want to show it to you. So here it is. And the next phase is going to be tried. Can I try this? Okay, let's give it a try. And then again, it may or may not work, but you tried it. And that will show, if that's going to be something that sticks or not. Check-ins. So remember asking clients about their day? Continue to do that. That is part of health and wellness. So that mental health aspect, that's what we're talking about here. So part of that maintenance is, how is your day going? How was work? Is there anything that you would like to see change? Part of the spiritual factor is, is there anything we can do to meet your spiritual needs? Is there something that, we can do as far as like maybe Zoom or a conferencing that way? But make sure that you are checking in with them and you're asking the right questions, that we talked about. Be approachable. So you're open to new ideas and receptive to what is and is not working. Again, if it's not working, well, it needs to be removed and it needs to be replaced with something else. And if new ideas are coming forward, we need to be open enough to kind of accept that as well. Communication. Teach the difference between burning good pain and ouch sharp pain. That is a story. So I share this one with you guys. So I was working out with a client, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, leg extension over at one of the local gyms. And the client just starts screaming, "You're killing me, you're killing me." Well, obviously that didn't go over well. So everybody in the gym turns and faces me and thinks that I'm being exceptionally cruel to a person with disabilities on a machine. Um, and so I said, well, stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing. You know, can I help you? Do you need to go to the hospital? How can I help you? I'm frantic at this point. You know, I'm hearing yelling, screaming.
Screenshot and
You're
send it
killing.
to her,
Okay,
or
so
just tell her because it's loading. Put yourself on mute.
so I said to the client, you know, what's happening? What is causing you pain? Well, my leg burns. Okay. Well, tell me more about that. Well, every time I lift my leg up, it burns in the muscles. Okay. I see. So you're experiencing burning when you exercise. Yes, I've never felt that before. Okay. So you're not dying. No, I'm not dying. But you are exercising. Yes. Okay, so okay, communication is good because now we're learning that burning pain from exercising is different from ouch, bad pain. I just got stabbed with something. So you know, making sure you communicate and the clients communicate back and forth with you. Excellent idea, especially if you don't want to have, like, say, people called into a gym when you're working out with your clients. So brings us to our next point, and that is consistency. And I can't say that enough because of all the places that I've worked within my 20 years of disabilities, it has always been consistency that has been the biggest issue that I've seen. So consistency starts and ends with staff, the family, and the caretakers. You have to be consistent. All right. If you can't show yourself to be consistent, don't expect your clients to be. Consistency is a way of showing your clients that you care and teaches real world work scenarios that later leads into further inclusion. So if they're going to work, that consistency, like being on time, showing up, making sure that they're doing their job the same every single time, you're showing them that. As you're working with them, you're showing them that. You're at the, you know, the group home or wherever the case may be. Your consistency, you're doing things with them, your ability to do your job on a regular basis, if you're being a role model, you're showing them what it's like and how to do that. Scheduling and sticking to the schedules reduces anxiety and decreases target behaviors. So if a client knows their schedule, they know that you're going to be consistent about that, they're not going to have that kind of anxiety. And then you're not going to have as many of those target behaviors that you might have. So the most harmful words you could say to a person is just this once. So I'm just going to open this one up for chat here and in the chat log. But what do you think happens when you tell a client that's normally gotten something every single day or not gotten something every single day just this once? What do you think that does to a client when you say just this once? I'll have my messenger man let me know if anything pops up there. Well, I can give you one example here real quick. When you say just this once, and it happens to be a specific staff member that they might be working with, the rest of the days of the week that they don't have that staff, the whole time they're thinking, when can I get that staff? Why is that? Because just this one time, I was able to get that one thing when normally I wouldn't. Their anxiety will go sky high. When is this person coming in? When are we going to do this? How about we're going shopping during a non-approved time for an item that is not approved? Okay, well, it happened that one time. Maybe it can happen again. Just this once, just this once. It replays in their head over and over again. Exactly. I see manipulation towards staff and more anxiety. That's exactly what happens. So thank you for that input. But yes, I do believe that one of the most harmful words you can say to our demographic here is just this once. So, and this goes for staff and clients as well, but changing goals and expectations too often can be frustrating. But it's not just for clients, it's for staff and it's for family members as well. So trying to keep everybody on board at the same time can be a little bit of a trick, but again, from like a PC or a director position, making sure that all of your staff is on board, and we're not trying to change things around too many times. So kind of reinforcing that same idea, rewards when not earned reinforce unwanted behaviors or targeted behaviors and will elicit behaviors in housemates. So it's not just that person that we're affecting, but if other housemates find out that one housemate did get that one time, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, so their anxiety goes up. How can I get that? How can I do that? It is difficult for everybody to be on the same page if the pages keep on turning. That's true. We want to keep that consistent. So a little bit more of the boring part here. This is a data management, but although it may be boring for some, it is completely necessary because we don't know where we're going if we don't know where we've been. So in data management, that's that point there, we have a written plan that can be easily accessible by client and staff. Obviously, some of that we can show, some of it we can't. Some of that is logging. That's why logging is so important, is because we can put in the information that happens in the day, work off of that information, set new goals down the line, and have that information available to us when we're creating goals. SMART goals are measurable. Use numbers, not descriptions. So it's a numerical value. Take vitals. All the houses do that. We do blood pressure checks, we do heart rates, temperatures. It's important to get those numbers in. It's important for them to be down because without them, we're not going to have good data in order to make those goals off of. They are a vital part, like vitals are a vital part of the assessment phase and do show us the direction of the next goal. So along with that, you should record and reflect achievements. So data can be a motivational factor and shows that staff is being involved with the clients as well. So, and celebrate that too. There's a lot of things that I've seen since I've been at AME where, clients have hit a milestone. And it's not that just the clients have done this, it's that we've had such good staff that have supported them that we need to recognize that as well. Staff, you've done an amazing job. Bosses, you've done an amazing job. Clients, you too. We've seen that, we've recorded it, we can look back at that information and say, hey, you know what? This is where you were. This is where you are now. You've done a fantastic job. It's important to highlight those things. Bringing us to our last phase, and that is reward. So when you think of rewards, kind of think of them in terms of SMART goals that we were looking at before. Rewards are also specific, attainable, and relevant to the client. Small rewards lead to a larger reward. So if you have one big reward over here and the client's not able to get to that large reward, it's just going to cause them a lot of anxiety. But make a smaller reward over here that they are able to reach. And if they keep reaching that, trying to reach then to the larger reward. Be specific about what the reward will be. Don't go back and forth on it. Just make it, talk to the client, see what they like, and, within reason, make it that reward and that reward specifically. Their rewards are attainable and yet challenging. So again, if you have that large reward and the small reward, making sure that they're attainable, because if they're not attainable, you get, those behaviors increase. And they should be relevant and meaningful. I kind of say, make sure that the clients enjoy carrots before you put one on a stick. And we'll use dangling in front of somebody if they're not interested in it. So, if you were trying to do, like, let's say a picking program and you're like, oh, you get a starburst. Well, I hate starburst. Okay, well, there's not exactly a motivational factor there anymore, is there? So rewards are not just for clients. Reward yourself and your team, giving credit for all your hard work. Absolutely. I think that needs to be said twice even, because, as much as you see their progress, you guys too, clients wise, bosses, owner, you're making progress too. You're learning more about Prader Willi syndrome. You're learning more about how to do this job. You're learning more about the clients. You're putting in a lot of hard work. You're always with them. Reflect back on it. Remember where I was 5 years ago to where I am now. A lot has changed. Be mindful of the progress that you've made. So as a caregiver, you can go through great lengths to take care of others, but usually fall short of taking care of yourself. I can totally vouch for that. I see the amount of work that all of you put in. My mom is a hospice nurse, working overnight shifts to just always be up, taking care of others, taking care of individuals, coming home, not sleeping all night, then taking care of other people on top of it. And, the last person she would think about in terms of taking care of herself is herself. And that's the same for a lot of you guys. So make sure you do find time to take care of yourself. Make sure you're, going through a little bit extra to make sure that you're taken care of, because you can't really take care of other people until you take care of yourself. We use the word resiliency when we're talking about that. So it's not just for clients, it's for you as well. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. And that will sum up our presentation. So I will open it up for discussion here. Hopefully it gave you kind of a different viewpoint in terms of health and wellness as opposed to weight management. And it's not a specific direction of you need to do this, but it's kind of a way of getting you to think about how things could be different, or how things, might get you start thinking different about how we take care of our clients. But really is kind of a holistic approach, and that we need to look at the body, the mind, and the spirit as a whole. So if you have any questions, you can stay with me here. I'll be happy to answer those. And then for those of you that stay with me, thank you for being here. And again, thank you, all of you, for the work that you do. You do amazing work. I want you to keep doing that. And remember, reward yourself. Take care of yourself. You're doing a great job. And remember where you came from. You've come a long way. You're doing a great job. Keep going. Okay. I think you're all happy to know that you're released now at this point. But yeah, if you do have questions, let me know. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for joining in. Right, well, I think I'll end the conversation here. Okay, we got a question here. All right, so in cases where loose skin is a factor, how would you go finding about that target weight? That is an amazing question, and I will love to do more research on that. I actually had a project that was talking about that. So I will say this: we don't. It depends on the specific individual and the amount of loose skin. So we have to either have a weight for that loose skin, which would be a question for like the doctor specifically, unfortunately. But we are going to have to kind of make an estimation of what that loose skin is. There's not a lot of data in this. Again, I would love to do more research in that because what does need to happen is that loose skin needs to be taken in consideration. How much loose skin, that's based on the individual, but in terms of weighing the loose skin by itself without it actually being removed, I don't think there's too many people that have gotten into that. I would love to go into that because I think it's something that is vitally important. There is another question that came up to me previously, and is if you were doing height and weight and the person was an amputee and they were wearing, like said, their leg, how does that factor in? Do you factor it in with the metal leg? Do you factor it in without the leg? Do you make a rough estimate of what the other leg weighs? There's a lot of questions there. So I'm not just going to let that question go because I would love to dive more into that and actually start trying to tackle that myself. So if I were to get an answer for that, I would love to check back in with you on that. Hopefully that answers your question there. Do we have any more questions there? Okay, very good. All right, we're gonna close down the video. And again, thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm Matt Ellgen, and this is us from over at Underwood. So thanks.